Okay, let's go. So, looking into the final part of this particular reading, that is Treasury and Financial Control, let's get a good understanding about uh, the remaining part of the chapter. Up until now, we finished the first half, almost more than the first half is done, and we look to close the second half in this particular reading, starting off here with Treasury versus Financial Control. So, looking into what Treasury does, it raises finance and it manages cash. That is what Treasury does. Second, Treasury Control manages investments and resource allocation. The financial control basically manages investments and resource allocation. Treasury deals with bank lenders and shareholders. Finance control supports business units and budgeting. Both functions report to CFO and they work very closely. Now, okay, let's look into this here. Treasury versus financial control. What are the differences? How did we understand this, Sri?
So treasury raises finance and manages cash,
Okay.
whereas financial control it manages investments and allocation of resources.
Okay.
While treasury deals with banks, lenders, and shareholders, financial control supports business units and budgeting. And similarity is that both the functions report to the CFO and they work closely together.
So that is a comparison between treasury and financial control. Okay, clear cut understanding what is treasury, what is financial control. We got a strong understanding about this. Moving on now, treasury and financial control collaboration. So now let's look into the close collaboration. What do we learn about the collaboration point of view? So looking into this here, treasury provides cost of capital information. Financial control evaluates investment opportunities. Treasury manages currency and financial risk. Financial control identifies foreign exchange exposure. Collaboration improves the strategic financial decisions. So when they work together, you would observe that the collaboration improves the strategic financial decision. All the collaboration, it improves the strategic financial decisions. What collaboration does, it improves the strategic financial decision. That is what collaboration does. It improves the strategic financial decisions. That is what collaboration does. Treasury has its own set of responsibilities, financial control has its own set of responsibilities, and collaboration basically improves the strategic financial decisions. Okay, so let's get a look into this, Sri. How have we understood what does treasury do, what does financial control do?
Yes, so treasury basically provides information on the cost of capital, whereas the financial control it evaluates all the investment opportunities. Treasury manages the currency and the financial risk, whereas financial control it identifies foreign exchange exposure, and collaboration improves strategic financial decisions.
Okay. And if they collaborate together,
It improves the strategic financial decisions.
yeah, okay. So when they collaborate together, you would observe that they are improving the strategic financial decisions overall. If we see there is more collaboration, we have bifurcated the roles of each and then we simplified it as well. So the close collaboration is key. Next, looking into here, the stakeholder conflict and the agency problem. Let's look into this. Let's get a strong understanding on this. Firstly, we look into stakeholder conflicts and agency problems. What about this? So when we look into the stakeholder conflicts and agency problems, so stakeholders often have conflicting objectives. That is the first thing with stakeholders. Different stakeholders have different objectives. Agency problem arises when the managers, between the managers and the shareholders, managers start pursuing personal interest, which is wrong. They should pursue shareholder interest, but they start pursuing personal interest. And conflict, basically, the impact of conflict on the business is that it increases the business cost. So the solution to this is good governance will help to balance the interest. So they have conflicting objectives. As a result of this, there is an agency problem. And because of the agency problem, there will be a lot of is business cost increasing. What managers have to do, what managers start doing in this is that they start pursuing personal goals. But what they should do instead is they should pursue the shareholders' goal. They start pursuing personal goal. That's the problem. So as a solution, what we can do is good governance is a solution. Okay. Let's look into this, Sri. What's happening here?
Yes, so stakeholders they often have conflicting objectives.
Yes.
Because of those objectives, agency problem arises between the managers and the shareholders.
Yes.
In such cases, the managers may start pursuing the personal interest. Because of this, business cost rises. So, a good governance will help balance all the stakeholders' interests.
Perfect.
So, can you excuse me for like 2 minutes, sir?
Sure, sure, please.
Sorry.
Yeah, sure. Let's get started, yeah. Looking into the next part here, navigating stakeholder interest and the agency problem. Let's look into this. Okay, so we've got a good idea about this, and we've understood that because the whole problem starts because managers will start pursuing their personal interest, and this is the reason why the entire problem starts. Okay, next we'll start looking into resolving agency problems. So how can we resolve the agency problems? Okay, so what we can do is we can start giving performance-based incentives. We can hire a lot of independent NEDs, shareholder monitoring and voting rights. Audit committees should be there. They improve accountability, and threat of takeover encourages better performance. Okay, so performance-based management incentives that you should not just pay for the time, you should also pay for money. Sorry, not just pay for time, also pay for performance. Second, you should hire a lot of independent NEDs. Shareholder monitoring and voting rights is something that's crucial. Audit committees will improve accountability. And threat of takeover encourages better performance. Threat of takeover, it encourages better performance. So it's better to ensure that there are a lot of NEDs, audit committees are there, shareholder monitoring is happening, performance-based incentives are in place. And when all these things are there, you will understand that the problem will start resolving. Slowly, we will see that the problem will start resolving. So one good solution to this is to ensure is that these aspects are there. Okay, these aspects are there, and as long as these aspects are there, we would observe that the agency problem will slowly start resolving. Okay, on the similar aspect here, we have corporate governance, which gives us a clear indication that firstly, the solution to stakeholder conflicts is corporate governance. Okay, whose corporate governance is the superhero that's going to save the world from the agency problem? Corporate governance is the superhero that will save the world from the agency problem. So, what corporate governance? It basically ensures companies are properly directed and controlled. The board approves major strategic decisions. The board approves that NEDs provide independent oversight, and shareholders approve key corporate decisions. What shareholders do is they approve key corporate decisions. Next, strong governance improves transparency and accountability. If the governance is strong, the transparency and accountability will be improved. Shareholders will approve key corporate decisions. NEDs provide independent oversight. Board approves major strategic decisions, and corporate governance ensures companies are properly directed and controlled. Okay, so board approves major strategic decisions. NEDs provide independent oversight. And shareholders approve key to corporate decisions, and strong governance improve transparency and accountability. Okay, so these are about corporate governance, and it's purely around the NEDs providing independent insight. Shareholders will approve key decisions. There should be strong governance, improves transparency and accountability as well. And boards approve the strategic insights, very important. And along with that, it ensures companies are run and controlled in the best with the best intention. Okay, with the best intention of the companies are properly directed and controlled in the way such that no stakeholders or no shareholders' best interests are damaged or not aligned. So that is something that's very important. So that's about corporate governance. Ensures companies are directly controlled. Board approves the major strategic decisions. NEDs provide independent oversight. Shareholders must approve the key decisions, and strong governance improve the transparency and accountability. Strong governance is very important. They will improve the transparency. They'll improve the accountability. So that is about the corporate governance aspect of it. Now, how do we do performance evaluation? So some financial measures we can use like EPS, ROCE, EVA we can use, DPS we can use. These are some ways of measuring financial performance. Share price will also reflect the investor expectations. Share price is something that will reflect what is the investor expecting in the future. P ratio measures market confidence. Balance scorecard includes non-financial measures as well. And finally, employee and customer satisfaction are key indicators. Okay, so let's look at the performance evaluation here, Shri. What have we understood?
So there are many financial measures that includes like different ratios like EPS, ROC, and all.
Yeah.
Then share price always reflects the expectations of the investors, and P ratio measures the market confidence. And balance scorecard also includes non-financial measures. The key indicators here are employee and customer satisfaction.
So these are the aspects that we are focused on. This is what we are controlled, and this is what we have to ensure that the performance evaluation is done in this particular manner. Now, next we'll look at the strategic role of financial managers. What are the strategic role of financial managers? Okay, so the strategic role is firstly select value creating investment projects, selecting good projects, maintaining the competitive advantage, right? Not losing the competitive advantage of the organization, considering external pest factors, political, economical, social, technological, allocating the resources efficiently, and finally balance stakeholder expectations and business risk. What we will do is we'll balance the stakeholder expectations and business risk. So that is the strategic role of financial managers. Select value creating investment projects, maintain a competitive advantage, consider the external pestle factors, allocate the resources efficiently, balance stakeholder expectations and business risk. So this is what they do. They balance out the expectations of the stakeholder and the business risk. They allocate the resources efficiently. They consider all the external factors like political, economical, social, and technological. They maintain a competitive advantage and they select value creating projects. What they do is they select value creating projects. So that is the strategic role of financial managers to ensure that strategic projects are selected, external factors are considered, resources are allocated effectively, maintain a competitive advantage, and a balanced stakeholder expectation and business risk. Okay. Next, we'll look into the impact of those decisions, right? So NPV is basically a measure. It measures the shareholders' value creation. NPV. Positive NPV can increase the share price. Initial investments may reduce the short-term profits, and high risk projects increase your cost of capital, and financial impact extends beyond accounting profit. So firstly, if we look here, NPV measures the shareholder value creation. NPV is a great way to measure shareholder wealth is being increased or not through a project. Positive NPV can also increase your share price. Initial investments may reduce short-term profits. Initial investments may reduce your short-term profits may be reduced by initial investments. High risk projects increase the cost of capital. When you talk about high risk projects can increase the cost of capital. Okay. High risk projects can increase your cost of capital. Financial impact extends beyond accounting profits. Financial impact extends beyond accounting profits. Okay. So beyond accounting profits, financial impact extend. Okay. Financial impact extends beyond. So when we talk about financial impact, it's more than accounting profits. High risk projects will increase the cost of capital. So whenever a project is more high risky, the cost of capital would be increased. Initial investments may reduce short-term profits. Initial investments may make your profit look weaker than it is. Positive NPV can increase the share price, and NPV measures shareholder value creation. What NPV does it measures shareholder value creation. What NPV does is that it measures shareholder value creation. Positive NPV may increase the share price. Initial investments may reduce short-term profits. High-risk projects increase your cost of capital, and financial impact extends beyond accounting profit. So beyond accounting profit, also there is financial impact. High-risk projects, you'll see your cost of capital going up. Short-term profits will be reduced by initial investments because initially you'll be investing the money. Positive NPV can increase the share price as well, and NPV measures the shareholders' value creation. Shareholders' value creation. Right? What NPV does is NPV measures shareholder value creation. What NPV does it measures shareholder value creation. What NPV does is that it measures shareholder value creation. Very important. Okay, shareholders measure. Right. Very important to know that when we understand what is happening really is that shareholders, right? It's the point of view of the shareholders and their value creation should be there, right? As long as shareholder value creation is there, we would understand that this is the major impact of the decisions. Okay, so these are all the impacts. Yeah, let's look into this tree. How have we understood this?
Yes, so here NPV measures shareholders value creation. Positive can increase the share price. And naturally, like whenever you make initial investment, will reduce short-term profits. High risk projects increase the cost of capital because it has a lot of risk. And financial impact extends beyond accounting profits.
Okay, so that is about this, and this is given a good understanding about the financial impact of decisions. Okay, moving on to the regulatory impact. Now, what will be the regulatory impact of the decisions taken by the manager? What are the regulatory impacts? Number one is comply with industry regulations. It's important that you comply with industry regulations. Okay, listed companies follow disclosure requirements. What do listed companies do? They follow disclosure requirements and protect investors' interests. They follow takeover regulations is important and maintain transparency and legal compliance. So this is the regulatory impact of financial decisions. You have to ensure that it's complying with regulatory regulations. And listed companies follow disclosure requirements. Listed companies are following disclosure requirements. It protects investor interest. Follow takeover regulation. And what it does, it follow takeover regulation, maintain transparency and legal compliance. You maintain transparency and legal compliance. Comply with industry regulations is very important. Listed companies must follow. If you're a listed company, you must follow disclosure requirements. You have to protect investors' interest, and you have to follow takeover regulations. So what you have to do, you have to follow takeover regulations and maintain transparency and legal compliance. As a financial manager, your decisions will have to be in such a way that they are maintaining transparency and they are complying with the legal compliances. They're following all the rules and regulations. They're protecting the investors' interest. They're complying with the industry regulations. And it's if you're a listed company, you have to follow the disclosure requirements. That is the regulatory impact of financial decisions. That is the regulatory impact of financial decisions. Complying with the industry regulation, listed companies follow disclosure requirements, protect your investors' interest, follow the takeover regulations, and maintain transparency and legal compliance. Very important. These are the ways in which you have to ensure your decisions. They will have a regulatory impact, and your decisions have to be such that they meet these ideas. Okay. Next, we'll look into the ethical impact of the decisions taken by the ethical impact of the decisions taken by the a financial manager. So firstly, consider the society when making decisions. So you have to consider about the society also, not just about your business. Follow a strong corporate governance principle. Maintain honesty and integrity. Go beyond minimum legal requirements. And ethical decisions support long-term success. So if you have ethical decisions, if you make, they will support your long-term success. Your ethical decisions will support your long-term success. Now, okay, your ethical decisions will support your long-term success. Ethical decisions will support your long-term success. Okay, let's look at the ethical impact here quickly, Shri. It's important.
Yes, sir. So we should always consider about the society while making decisions, and we must follow strong corporate governance principles. They should we should always maintain honesty and integrity and go beyond minimum legal requirements. So all of these, like when we make all of these ethical decisions, it supports long-term success for the business.
So that's about the ethical. Now the environment is also affected. Now what are the environmental impact here? So you have to make a decision in such a way that it's a sustainable way of development, reduce the risk on the environment, monitor any carbon emissions, apply a triple bottom line accounting, that is people, planet, and profits. But you don't only just focus on profit, you focus on people and planet. And next you balance economic, social, and environmental objectives. You do what? You balance economic, social, and environmental objectives. You balance economic, social, and environmental objectives, which is very important. And you have to balance everything out. Support the sustainable development, reduce the environmental risk, monitor the carbon emissions, apply a triple bottom line reporting, and balance the economical, social, and environmental objectives. Balance the economical, social, and environmental objectives. This is the environment. And finally, financial strategy summary is that develop investment and financing policies as an organization. Balance the stakeholder interests. They should not be an agency problem. Resolve the conflicts through governance. Corporate governance is the superhero that protects the world from the agency problem. Manage risk effectively as you can. Focus on long-term shareholder value creation. Always focus on long-term, which is your primary objective anyway. Focus on long-term shareholder value creation. Manage the risk effectively. Resolve conflicts through governance and balance stakeholder interest. Finally, develop investment and financing policies. Balance your stakeholders' interest, make sure that the conflicts are being resolved, and through how corporate governance, manage the risk effectively. Focus on long-term shareholder value creation. Focus on long-term shareholder value creation. What we should do is focus on long-term shareholder value creation. You should focus on that. Manage the risk effectively, resolve the conflict through governance, balance all the interests of the stakeholder, develop the policy in your company. If you're doing that, pretty much this is a very good summarization of all the rules in a simplistic sense that a financial manager has to ensure that he abides by, and this is the quality of work and the impact that he can create through his decisions. So that is the summarization of this entire chapter.